Welcome to this week's Threading Thoughts podcast, where we talk about roads, recycling, and reuse. As of 2017, India had a whopping network of over 5897671 kilometers of roads. Since the 1990s, major efforts have been underway to modernize the country's road infrastructure. Not to mention the length of the national highways in India has increased dramatically from 70,000 kilometers in 2010 to 11 to almost 132,000 kilometers in 2019. In addition to the construction cost savings, in situ recycling has also provided substantial environmental benefits, including a reduction in carbon dioxide emissions as well as reduced materials, transportation, and less use of newly extracted materials. But the balance required is between building a better connected India while creating a healthier ecosystem. Dr. Ambika Bail has done her PhD from IIT Roorkee. She has a work experience of about 15 years. She is a member of the Bureau of Indian Standards BIS Committee, Indian Road Congress IRC Committee, ASSOCHEM, Bitumen India Forum, and Transportation Research Group of India. She is actively involved in drafting BIS and IRC codes. She has authored many research papers and articles on various subjects of asphalt pavements. She has delivered invited lectures at many national and international platforms. She is also the faculty for Academy of Scientific and Industrial Research ACSIR at CSIR CRRI. She recently received the CIDC Construction Industry Development Council Vishwakarma Achievement Award 2021. She has a rich experience in research and development activities of highway sector in the area of flexible pavement materials, polymer modified asphalt, warm mix asphalt technology, recycling of pavements, use of waste materials in road construction, waste plastic roads, stabilized pavements. She believes that infrastructure development should not be at odds with sustainability and continues her work in the area of sustainable pavement construction technologies. Welcome to Threading Thoughts. I am so thrilled to have Dr. Ambika Bail with us today. It is such a pleasure having her talk to us about some of the amazing things that's being done in the circular economy and recycling and reusing. And we're just so glad you were able to take some time off with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mridula, for inviting me, and it's really a pleasure for me to share with a larger audience through you that what we are doing at CRRI and how we are moving towards the sustainable infrastructure with our activities at Central Road Research Institute.
That's lovely. And straight off, let me ask you, right? A great way to combat plastic pollution is recycling and reusing it. So the utilization of plastic in, say, bituminous mixes seems promising. So given India's a very hot and humid nation, right? Depending on, of course, where you are, but overall, how adaptable is it to road use?
Yes, Mridula, you're very right. India has a very different climatic, it's being a different climatic region. We have very hot and humid climate. Along with top of that, we all pavement engineers say, top of that, we have very heavy traffic. The kind of overloading we have in India, it doesn't happen anywhere else. We design a pavement for some MSA, but after 5 years, we see it's almost like, triple or 4 times the traffic is moving on. We design a state highway, but the kind of traffic moves on is more than a national highway. So that's the kind of overloading we are having. So in such scenarios, and then yes, a big point that traffic is more, but at a very slow speed. From engineering angle, if we see that the heavy traffic moving at a very slow speed is much, much more damaging than heavy traffic at high speeds, which normally is in foreign countries. They have very high speed traffic, but our is slow moving, but very heavy. So in such circumstances, when we have high temperatures and high traffic, we always recommend to go and for polymer modified binders. Let me clarify here. Normal petroleum based bitumen, which we get, that is a conventional bitumen, and we call it as a viscosity grade bitumen. But that is not able to withstand high temperature and heavy traffics. So we always say, recommend, and even it is in our guidelines to use polymer modified bitumen, because these polymers, make the asphalt much more flexible, much more durable. They induce that, high resistance towards temperature failure as well as moisture failure. So this is all done by adding polymers into the asphalt. But when I say we are adding polymers, they are all the virgin polymers,
Okay.
and they're very expensive.
Mm.
They are engineered polymers, expensive, and they make the whole road construction process almost 3 times of the cost of the conventional, because we are adding polymers.
Wow.
So what we say here is, all this plastic which is littered around us, this is also end of the day a polymer. It is a polyethylene, polypropylene, or a PET polymers. So why not use these polymers rather than adding virgin polymers? And our research studies have proved it, that they give similar kind of properties which we are having from a virgin polymer modified bitumen.
Okay.
So this is quite a sustainable solution. It also gives us a very good resistance to moisture when there is heavy rainfall, very good resistance to high temperature. It makes the complete pavement surface much more durable. So, but yes, I would like to end it with this, that it is simply not just chopping off the plastic and adding it into the mix. It's a very engineered technology. There is a proper process how it has to be used. And yes, if it is used properly, carefully, it can give us long-lasting roads. So for such kind of temperature regions and heavy traffic, this is the best solution we have.
No, that's amazing to hear, because, most people have this maybe a misconception that, you just need to clean up the plastic, as you said, chop it up, and you can use it wherever. That's not the way it works, actually.
No, not at all, not at all. If I do not want to go into the much details, because then you will find that I'm talking on this only for an hour or so, because I can go to that length. It's a type of, like I just cannot add any polymer. You cannot chop the plastic bottle and add. It will not give you good end result, and it would rather be a wastage of a good resource which can be used somewhere else. So it has to first of all match with the mixing temperatures, at which temperatures we are constructing roads. We do the DSC analysis, we check the degradation temperatures of the polymers. So all those checks are being done, that this polymer or plastic will not be degraded once used in bed. And then we also check the environment emissions, the leaching, so that, end of the day, it should not pollute the groundwater, or it should not generate air emissions. So that it shouldn't be that we are solving one plastic pollution problem and we are creating another plastic pollution problem. So it has to be done very carefully. It's not just trashing the asphalt.
Absolutely beautifully said, as you can't create another issue by thinking you're clearing up one issue. Beautifully said. But there's the other issue that, yes, we have lots of roads, miles and miles of roads in India. So a lot of these roads don't last for long. So what is this fatigue failure in asphalt pavements, and how can we overcome these, not just using the conventional methods, because those don't seem to work most of the time. I'm sure there's new research that comes up that will give us better, more effective solutions. So what are your thoughts on these?
You are giving me wonderful questions.
Thank you.
So yes, lots of roads are failing. There are many reasons for pavement to fail. In India, generally, we see two types of failures. One is the rutting, another is the fatigue. When you typically ask me about the fatigue failure, it's a kind of, interconnected cracks on the asphalt road surface, and it generally happens due to repeated traffic loading.
Okay.
So I would say it's not majorly a fault of the material, that you can add a polymer or anything else as an additive and we can stop fatigue cracking. Fatigue cracking, the main reasons for fatigue failures, when you see that alligator kinds of cracks throughout the surface,
yes,
It happens because of the poor drainage. If right at the time of the construction, proper drainage has not been given, definitely stripping will start, the bitumen will leave the surface of the aggregate, all the moisture infiltration will start occurring, and then you have a complete pavement failure. So A, it happens due to the drainage. B, it happens due to the heavy traffics. As I said that today I am designing a pavement on traffic X, but when I'm starting constructing, which normally in most of the highway projects, there is a delay,
Right.
most of the projects, there is a delay. So down the line, 2 years, the traffic is almost doubled or tripled up. So that design which I did 2 years back will not be sufficient today,
True.
So, and sometimes it is under designed also. So we have to design it very carefully. As I said, inadequate load support is one reason. Another reason is weak sub-base, base and subgrade layers. Because when you drive, we see the black top, but under the black top, there are many more layers, which gives, like the right type of the foundation for that black
Correct.
top. So if that is weak, definitely you're going to have that fatigue failures. So these fatigue failures can be overcome by doing a detailed pavement design to ensure that the stresses which are going to be generated due to the traffic, they're sufficiently low to achieve the required endurance. So, and obviously use of improved materials have to be there. So all these factors, it's more of a design problem rather than the materials.
Reuse this? I mean, given that, you have cracked pavements or broken pavements, is this something that you can actually reuse?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the asphalt roads, that it can be recycled completely 100%. In comparison to the concrete roads where it is very difficult to recycle, but asphalt, because it is, when I'm saying asphalt, it's a mix of the bitumen and the aggregate. So bitumen being a viscoelastic material, it's also one type of polymer in nature. When we heat it, it melts. So being due to that nature, it is very easy to heat and then reuse it.
Right.
It's very easily done. So whenever there is a question about the sustainable payments and all, I always say that I have one answer: recycle. Whatever is existing, your cracked pavement is there, simply recycle it. But yes, again, recycling is a very technology where you have to put a lot of brains to design it. Because when we recycle a pavement, we have to see up to what depth.
Right.
At the top, we see some black top, but as I said, there are so many layers underneath.
Layers and the support system.
Support system, because they are like bases, sub-bases, subgrade. So we have to ensure that the subgrade is strong enough, and then the top surface can be recycled. In case that is not strong enough, so we mill the existing pavement material, take it back to the plant, and then strengthen that base layers, and then recycle it and put it back on the pavement.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I'm sure, new research and technology has really helped you in all of these endeavors as well. So, when they help you lay these new roads, I'm sure they've vastly improved the methods or, the materials that you use. But, what are some of the new technologies that can potentially help many, many kilometers of these old roads? What do you think, that can be done for them? Because we do have a lot of old roads which are either unusable or barely usable. And what is it that you feel that can be done? Because new research and technology can definitely be a huge support to us.
Yeah. So again, long question, short answer: recycle. I think that's the answer to many problems. See, pavement recycling is a wonderful and most appropriate technology where all the existing materials in the pavement they can be used completely 100% to construct a new road, and we can save all the black gold. I call asphalt as a black gold because it is as precious as gold. Bitumen and aggregate both are our natural resources. They are non-renewable resources of energy. We are already, if I put it into the numbers, we are already importing 50% of the total demand of bitumen in India, which is used for road construction.
Wow.
So that is, we are already importing. So it is that precious. It's a petroleum product, and we know it is depleting. There is no other resource of bitumen. Same is for the aggregate. We are cutting huge. If you have ever traveled to Faridabad side where I reside, from Delhi to Faridabad, there used to be beautiful Aravali hills. But now there are two quarries. They have cut down all those things. Quarries are there to make aggregates because yes, there is a shortage. And at this time when we have to construct, like 2 lakh kilometers of highways, from where this material will come?
Correct.
And if we go by the reports, there was a report done on material consumption patterns in India. So as per that report, the existing resources are only for next 20 to 25 years. So we always emphasize on this, that we highway engineers have to think, what are we going to do after 25 years if we kept on using fresh materials and do not recycle the old pavements? We will not be left with more material.
Much to work with.
For a single lane kilometer, the approximate aggregate requirement is 20,000 tons. 20,000 tons is required. Wow. Only for a single kilometer, right? And that's not only the materials. The interesting part is transporting that material to the site. Normal lead distance in any construction site from the quarry is 200 kilometers. That is an average normal in northern part of our country at least. So to cover that 200 kilometers, 180 lakh liters of diesel is required. So if we do not want to transport, if we recycle the existing bed, we have tons and tons of materials in the existing pavement. You see how much we can save. We can save bitumen, we can save aggregate, we can save this diesel, and yes, the pollution which we will be doing by burning all this. So it's a very beautiful technology. If done effectively, then we can achieve sustainable roads more constructively.
Absolutely.
So we have to think. I always emphasize on this because from last so many years we've been working on this, that we, rather than constructing fast, we have to construct sustainable. We need to make infrastructure construction so that the ecological balance is there, so that it is economical. And
Correct.
Yet at the same time, it lives its design life. It also shouldn't happen that I'm recycling and it's failed in a year. So that's all the exercise is waste. So it has to suffice all the 3 aspects of sustainability.
It's not only recycle, but you're also saying, recycle smart, because we have such limited resources. And every time you recycle, it's not just a recycled material you're using. You are using a lot of non-renewable resources as well in order to make this recycled material useful. So I think that is where the absolute challenge comes in. But given that we've been talking so much about plastics and recycling, what are some of the bottlenecks or challenges that you face when you're trying to recycle this?
Specifically, when you talk about the bottlenecks for waste plastic technology, I'll first, in the first half, I'll answer only about the waste plastic road technology.
Sure.
It was the technology first came in picture in 2004 and 5. That was the first time it happened in India. But if you see, it's been so many years, still that technology has not been used to that level which it should have been. So there are many, many bottlenecks why it is not being adopted. The first and very important one is that in India, we don't have waste management system in place, a proper one, The segregation of plastic, as I said, it is not like dumping anything and everything. We have to choose the plastic. Every type of plastic cannot be used. Only the polyplastic bags which are there, which even after we did some studies in CRI, the codes and guidelines were prepared. So the plastic has to be has not to be thicker more than 60 microns. So if it is thick, it cannot melt with the aggregate at that temperature.
Okay.
The plastic has to have a size, to which size it should be shredded. So all this process of processing the plastic from the garbage, many a times it has happened that I have been to the construction site where they want to use waste plastic, and the plastic we get is like huge dumps of municipal solid waste.
Correct.
So now who is supposed to clean that plastic? You have to first segregate that plastic out of the whole garbage, and then proper cleaning, drying is required, shredding is required, and then that shredded plastic can be used.
So the process then becomes more complicated, right? More complicated.
More complicated. So that is the biggest bottleneck, that our segregation is not there. Municipal corporations, they are not ready to take the responsibility of segregating it, and as of now it's still a struggle. Who is going to do that? The road construction agencies, obviously it's not their work to actually do the segregation. So I have attended many meetings where the debate is always on this: what should be the cost at which this shredded plastic would be available, and how it can be achieved. We are a developing country. I really wish if we have that kind of at source segregation which happens in other developed nations. It's very funny, but I have many a times given this comment at various meetings that in our India, in households, we collect that newspapers and wait for that Raddiwala, because we know there is a price attached to it. So why can't we do that for plastic? Then everybody will start segregating that plastic polybags at house itself, and then sell it to the Raddiwalas, and then you can easily get that plastic out. So it's more of a thing coming from the municipal or the government bodies who can enforce this. So segregation enforcement is required. That is first bottleneck, which is, I don't know how we are going to solve that. But what we from CRRI can do, we have already started this campaign. We are giving more and more trainings to people so that, they do not adopt it in a wrong way, that a wrong plastic is used. Correct. They are, sometimes it has happened at some sites that they are mixing the plastic with the bitumen, which is not to be done if it is not a plastic modified bitumen. If you simply put in the hot bitumen, it is just going to settle at the bottom and you will not be achieving the required properties. So all this methodological awareness and training we have started giving. So that is one thing. And then awareness, as you said, still many people say that waste plastic technology is just like dumping the plastic into the road. So it's not that. So that awareness, that is one thing which is required, and we are already working on it. And third thing, we don't have the performance record. Initially these plastic roads were done with PMGSY, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So they have done many kilometers of plastic roads. Now slowly NHAI has said that start making the urban roads also. Ministry has enforced that, start making the urban roads with plastic, and slowly we have planned to take it to highways also. But because highways are a very critical part of our road network, so we suddenly cannot bring in anything which tomorrow gets failed. So it's in target. We are going to target low traffic highways first, and then maybe take it further. So that technological aspect is being taken care by the government authorities, but how we are going to solve this plastic segregation issue is still, we need to work on that.
No, very well said, because I think what you really require is a ground up sort of a force where every plastic is segregated at home. So I am a huge segregator, and I always have. Unfortunately, what happens is when I segregate my plastic bags or the milk bags, and I mean, literally I segregate everything. But when I segregate it, the biggest problem for me is there's nobody to take it. I'm actually told when I go to, all these people who pick up the paper, They tell me that, oh, ma'am, this month we are not taking milk packets because we're not getting the money for it. So there is an absolute failure from different points, and that's the reason why we're not able to get through to it. The issue is that at every point we need the connection of where this plastic is going and how it's going to be used. So I think that is such a vital missing link that the end use of the plastic is then lost. So I think that is something, as you very rightly said, is going to be a huge challenge going forward.
It will happen once this herd of segregation and cleaning will be taken care.
Absolutely. I think the cycle, the circuit has to be completed. That's where we're sort of lacking right now. But, talking about waste materials, what are some of the other potential waste sources do you believe that can be recycled into, useful components for building roads? Not just the plastic. Do you have others in mind?
We are working on a lot of materials at CRRI. We are working on many waste and marginal materials which can be effectively used in building roads. And the concept behind this is that our whole team, we at CRRI realized that we have a big, this thing of big scare of that the aggregates or the materials are depleting, and plus India is such a vast country that availability of aggregates or bitumen is also an issue. Like if we are making a road in Andaman is it's all surrounded by water, so availability of materials there is an issue. Availability of materials in northeast east is it's an issue. So there are many construction sites where we are aware that the projects have delayed for like 2 to 3 years only because the materials are not available. So we are working on to use the marginal materials which we call as the local materials. Like if I am in Kerala, then why I cannot use the jute fibers, the coconut husk fibers? They can be used in some way, So all these marginal materials we are working on. Plus, as you said, the waste materials, I would be happy to tell, through this platform to everyone that we are doing a huge project with Steel Authority of India. Our CRRI team, my colleagues are working. They're working on use of steel slag as an aggregate.
Wow.
We are working on using chrome slag. Already the trial sections have been constructed, and now we are doing the performance check. So once it is proved that they can withstand that traffic and the climatic conditions, then we can have this artificial aggregate which is made out of steel slag, chrome slag. So we are not dependent on the naturally occurring stone aggregates. So that is one thing which we are working aggressively on. And then different types of plastics, as I said, one is that this poly bag which we are using, but we have ventured and developed processes for many other plastic materials, like the construction pipes, which you, in every house building, there is a construction pipe, which is a PVC based. So our current guidelines say that PVC cannot be used because it has a vinyl chloride and dioxins can be released. But recently, CRRI got a patent on this. We could develop a process where this PVC is depolymerized, and then we can make a PVC modified bitumen.
Wow.
So which there will not be any dioxin release, and now this modified bitumen can be used to make a polymer modified bitumen, and you have all those strength properties out of it. Another interesting material, you all eat medicines, we all eat medicines day in, day night. So all those blister packs which are there, that's a huge waste.
Yeah, it's all thrown. It's absolutely
thrown. All thrown. So what are we doing out of it? So when we came to know that there are recyclers who take these medicine packs, they are powdering it and they are recovering the aluminium parts. Now aluminium is a costly thing, because that's a silver thing is the aluminium part.
Absolutely.
So they're selling this aluminium to the alloy manufacturers, and the plastic is simply being dumped, and which is landfill, which is another pollution creating thing. So at CRRI, we developed a process where the plastic from the medical waste can also be used. So that is also we are using. The process is there. Hopefully in next few months we will construct a trial stretch in Delhi itself with that process which we have developed. And there are many more interesting things. I think today, if I say, then probably you and people will laugh at me, that waste of engine oil can be used. Have you thought waste of cooking oil, which
Oh my
is
God.
in huge hotels? See, because when we see it, for us, it's just an oil for a normal, but from bitumen fraternity people, this oil, when you see the chemical composition of this oil, these have aromatics in them. And aromatic is a major component of our bitumen. So aromatic from this waste can be extracted and put into the bitumen. So where we can use this is, and we already finished one research project. Now, see, in road research, whatever we are doing in lab, end of the day, we have to take it to the field, how it is happening. So we are now looking for the test section. So bitumen, when it is exposed to bituminous roads, our roads are outside. So when they're exposed to weather, the temperature, high temperatures, and then low temperatures at night, and then rain. So these roads weather, we call it as aging of bitumen. So
Right.
due to exposure to temperature and water, the aromatics in bitumen, they are converted to the asphalting content. So the elasticity part of bitumen goes. The
Right.
bitumen is elastic and flexible only due to the presence of aromatics and the resins. So when we are using this waste from the engine oil or the cooking oil or other kind of materials,
Which
we
have
are
these
inducing,
aromatics, right?
they have these aromatics. So the asphalt content is there itself in the bitumen, but due to aging, it loosens up on the aromatic content. So we are using all these kind of wastes to induce the aromatics back, so that our old bitumen, the aged bitumen which is there in the recycled material, can be as good as a new petroleum-based bitumen. So we are doing all this kind of work. And another very last but not the least, which I think would be the future of the bitumen roads, would be the lignin from the sugarcane bagasse. Have you ever thought of sugarcane bagasse, rice husk, corn starch? The end waste out of all these materials is lignin, and lignin is like rich source of aromatics again. So if we properly process, but it's simply not that I'm taking the sugarcane bagasse and putting in the bitumen.
Correct.
It's not like
Correct.
that. So there is a proper chemical processing which has to be done of these materials, and then these aromatics can be used to make a biobinder, not the petroleum-based binder. A biobinder can be made out of these materials. So this is how we are working on using different kinds of waste materials, so that we can combat these, scare of depleting bitumen and the depleting aggregates. So our task is on that.
That is so fascinating. How would you even think so many materials have so much of potential? Each and every waste, I think, can contribute in some way. And this is just absolutely exciting that the roads can get a facelift from cooking oil or jute or anything of that sort. And what I really
Tire rubber. I forgot to mention our tires, the tires of the old tires. So we call it as a crumb rubber modified bitumen. All the old truck tires, that rubber gives excellent properties to the asphalt. And we have so many roads already constructed using that crumb rubber. So it's a big hit. So all these materials can,
I think that there might not be any material that you might not be able to recycle now. This is just so fascinating because such a beautiful use of waste discarded materials, and all for construction of transport. Who would think that ultimately many industries and their waste materials can feed into building the transportation for India per se, just the roads and
yeah.
so fascinating, and it's exciting to think technology has come this far to help us from so many different ways. So we all seem to be one interconnected series of events. But talking about these, you talked about so many choices of waste materials, right? I mean, it's fascinating. I think there are so many others I'm sure you'll discover in the next couple of years that you can do research on. So what are some exciting new technologies that you look forward to, that will change the nature of construction or in the maintenance of roads or checking the quality of roads? What are some of those new technologies that's exciting for you as well?
I must appreciate your questions, Mridula. You have come up with beautiful questions, wonderful ones, so that I have to use all my mind to answer them.
Thank you.
So few of the technologies which per se, when I think that these technologies are going to overhaul the road construction industry completely. So one, the foremost is recycling, definitely. Not about the plastic recycling, I'm talking about the pavement recycling.
Correct.
Because there are, like huge and huge kilometers of roads which are already built, they have failed, they are cracked, everything, potholes everywhere. So what currently the mindset of people is that, we are going the conventional way. Largely, we are going the conventional way. Whenever there is a failure, we either tend to provide an overlay, like 40 millimeter thick pavement and just wasting everything else, or we simply excavate with a JCB, throw that material and put a new layer. We have to start adopting it. The technology is there in place. All we need is the awareness and the right methodology to adopt those technologies. We can recycle the complete pavement material, right from the bottom layer to the top layer. Everything can be recycled in an asphalt pavement. For concrete pavements, we still have to work hard. But as I said, asphalt being a bitumen, being a viscoelastic material, and it's a staged construction, so it can easily be recycled. So I think in the coming years, since there is, if we do not change now our construction methods, then nature will force us to change. Like who would have ever thought that all the businesses would be run from work from home? So nature taught us. So if we do not learn it on time, so maybe when we will not be left with any other resource, we'll have to do it. Slowly and slowly that will become mandatory, that one has to recycle the pavement. So that is one technology, futuristic, where a lot of more development and a lot of more adoption is required, that you recycle all the material, existing pavement materials, no need to put fresh materials. Second one is use of artificial intelligence in predicting pavement performance. Right now, when we have to predict the performance, or if I have to check how the road is, we go do the sampling, bring back the samples and analysis in the lab. It's a longer process, and then obviously we do some cuts in the pavement. So the future of this work is that use of all this AI and machine learning, and predict the pavement performance, that when it is going to fail, and before it occurs, you give that maintenance on the pavement. So that is the second one. And third is again the stabilized pavements. Now what happens in India, as I said, it's a vast country. It is not like one material which I'm using on Delhi roads can also be used in Northeast. The materials available are not same. Maharashtra is full of black cotton soil. Black cotton soil is so weak, it cannot be used for road construction, otherwise we are not improving it. So stabilization is a very good technology by the use of which we can make the existing weaker materials strong. We can add cement, we can add additives, and we can improve the strength properties of a weak material, and then we can build the road over that. So that is the third technology which is going to come in a big way in future. And then yes, combination of concrete and asphalt, both have their own flaws, both have their own advantages. Concrete is long lasting. I mean, if I say long lasting, it's designed for 20-30 years, whereas an asphalt pavement we have to maintain after every 5 years cycle. But then concrete has its own disadvantages. But to overcome that and to have the strength from that part, we are looking forward for composite pavements, which would be a combination of both the layers. So that is the fourth one. So these four are going to be the futuristic technologies from my side, and that is how I have started aligned our work already in this direction.
That is so fascinating. I'm sure as and when you go forward, and given that you interact so much with other labs as well, there are many more technologies or many more chemical substances that can be used to actually improve roads, but also bring in new materials. And as you said, just given the gamut of waste materials that you can use, the resources then become unlimited because that can just be built into roads. I cannot say how absolutely fascinating and educative this talk has been. It's like I just went straight back into one of my college lectures because it was just so much of information and so much of learning, which is very important because it's fascinating to see these different facets come together. We always see, roads that are broken, and the first thing that we do is we actually just either comment on them or we keep complaining about them, but we really don't realize that there's so much of work going on behind the scenes to try and improve the way these roads are made, to try and reuse material that pollute our own lands, and also use new technology to make this way better than what it was. So I just think that it's a matter of time that the nation itself sees these differences. And I'm sure given these new ideas that you come up with, there are more people who will be able to come up with alternate solutions and come to you and say, okay, here's what I can do for you. Perhaps I can help you more. And I also just hope people recycle more because given as an avid recycler and a sorter, I find it very challenging to get even my community people to come together and start recycling and sorting. I think that's very, very critical. But more importantly, it's not just the residents or citizens who do it. Unfortunately, the chain is broken. So unless we get that chain to work, whatever we sort, ultimately it's going to get combined again in some landfill. And then it just is a waste of our energy because that I'm sure you can use many more materials the moment you get a better idea of how they come clean and sorted. So I'm just so thrilled. I cannot say, thanks enough. It was just so lovely talking to somebody who's not only clear, lucid, but also, has so much of new ideas and a clear understanding of where they want to go. And that usually is never there. It's that vision that really helps. So thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
My pleasure too that you invited me and I could speak all about what we are doing. And as you said, it's right. It's all about the awareness. And yes, there are many, many more materials. People are working. The road construction industry is a dynamic industry. Every day there is some new, these days at least, every day there is some new world record which our Indian road construction industry is making of laying more kilometers. I just hope that very soon we enter into the records of making more sustainable roads, more and more kilometers. So, yeah.
I'm sure. I think you're already making a mark. So I'm just sure. And we're going to hear some very exciting news from you soon.
Yeah, I hope so. We at CRRI, we all are working towards it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.